We are back with Money Heist Korea episode 9 review. Episode 8 I thought was great. It left us on a massive cliffhanger. So many things happened. And episode 9 didn't disappoint. We end episode 8 with essentially Tokyo being handcuffed, being led in to the interrogation room. We start episode 9 with a flashback, as you do. As we always do, and we learned the revelation in the last episode at the end that the Berlin and the Professor are brothers. Well, we get a flashback at the start of this episode, and it shows you the Professor traveling to Russia, where his brother was for some reason. So his brother's in Russia. He says he wants to meet with him, but his brother is like the leader of this gang. So one of the gang members is speaking to the Professor. The Professor's talking about he wants to buy weapons. When the guy's interested in selling them, the Professor says he doesn't want to speak to him, no, he wants to speak to the boss. The guy then goes on to say he is the boss, but then the Professor's like, no, I want to speak to this guy. And that kind of alerts the mercenary here. Berlin's mercenary, so he leads them to the back, and then they attack the Professor. They start beating the Professor up. They're like dunking him into water, so they're like water torturing the Professor. And they says, "How did you know of him? How do you know he's hiding here?" Obviously speaking of Berlin. And then he, at last chance before they kill him, he says, "We're brothers." And then we see Berlin's eyes, and they kind of like just flicker open. He's like laying on the bed, taking his taking his medicine. He looks sick here. He gets up, he drags the Professor up, and he's like, "Say it to my face that we're brothers." The Professor looks at him, and then we go into another flashback, and it showed you the entire family trying to escape North Korea. However, only the Professor and the father were successful. We seen that Berlin was with his mother crossing the river. His mother got shot, and therefore she died and he didn't make it, so the family got split up. So these two are brothers, and then Berlin is listening to the Professor. The Professor goes on to tell him about how Berlin says he doesn't even remember what Dad looks like, and then the Professor tells him that their father died trying to get him out of there. He says it would have cost them more money than they could earn in a lifetime, and that's why Father tried to rob a bank. He was shot while robbing a bank. And this is when the Professor asks Berlin to help him complete Father's plan and rob the mint. So great start to the episode here. Loved the flashback. Thought it was really interesting. It was a flashback, but it was literally two flashbacks. So it was like a flashback inside of a flashback. Really cool stuff. Then we move on to the Tokyo stuff. She's been interrogated by the interrogators. She's been interrogated by Woojin. Woojin asks her about the Professor. Tokyo, it looks like she's about to give the Professor up, and she's like, I'll tell you about the Professor. He's got two eyes, he's got two ears, he's got two nose. He's got one nose, and more importantly, he's got a mouth. They don't really like this. They tell her if the Woojin tells her if she cooperates that she'll help get her sentenced halved by 50%. Tokyo then makes a snide remark, says, "How much is 50% off a life sentence?" Tokyo then starts screaming, acting insane, saying she was thrown out of the mint. She says that she's a victim too. They then try a lie detector test, so they're trying to figure out if in fact she did get thrown out. What is the game plan if she turned on the rest of the Professor's team. And then Tokyo realizes this and like smashes the detector and starts screaming that I'm a victim too, and I'm a victim too, why wouldn't you believe me? Berlin turned crazy, he kicked me out the mint, blah blah blah. And she says that if they come back with a better deal, then maybe she'll give up some information on the Professor and his team. Then we go into the mint, and we have another flashback here, so it shows you the moment where Berlin was about to push Tokyo out of the mint, and then Nairobi admits that she is in fact the traitor. They ask her, Helsinki's in her face, asks her why she did it. She says it's because of her son, and that her son was kidnapped at Moscow. says that he tries to diffuse the situation. He says that we can't really blame Nairobi. Anyone would have done the same thing in her situation. Tokyo and Berlin look at each other and they say it worked. Their plan, this was their plan all along. Berlin said he had to do this in order to find out who the traitor was. Tokyo says, don't worry, she's getting out here anyway. Tokyo says that communication to the professor has been broken. Communication ceases to exist, and she needs to find out the next plan, the next step in the plan from the professor. So she is going to willingly leave the Mint, but they're going to make it look like she's been kicked out of the team. So really good stuff here. Later in the episode, we get more stuff with Nairobi. She's like apologising to Helsinki. Helsinki basically says, it's not your fault, and that that we hope you get your son back. Tokyo, though, before she leaves, tells Nairobi that she will help get their son back. So this must be part of their plan. Well, Tokyo is being transferred to, I guess, a police station or whatever she's getting transferred to. Berlin's crew manages to hijack the transfer vehicle. They manage to escape with Tokyo, and they then take Tokyo to the professor. And they come up with a plan. Well, actually, first of all, before they take Tokyo to like the professor's hideout, but the professor isn't there. And they come up with this plan that they're going to rescue Nairobi's child, and they have to do it before Berlin has the confrontation with the ex-North Korean concentration camp leader, because that is kind of like the leverage that they're trying to hold over the team, the professor's team. So if they can get Nairobi's son back, then they really have no leverage. So that is the plan they put in motion. We see Tokyo and Berlin's crew. They get suited and booted, and they enter like this mansion where Nairobi's son is being held. And like this scene was incredible. There was like this really catchy like tune playing. It would remind you of like something like Doom, or like a fast pace when you just tell something's going down. So the soundtrack for this scene was amazing, and the way they choreographed and the shooting and some of the shots. There was this shot where like they showed you an angle, and the angle was from inside the gun, and it showed you the bullet being shot from inside the gun, and like the camera angle was like on the bullet, and it followed the bullet until it hit the guy in the forehead. But of course, due to the professor's demands and wishes, they were using rubber bullets. Nobody got killed here. But this is a really good scene, like 5 minutes where they infiltrate this mansion and they manage to get Nairobi's child. So Nairobi's child is safe, which is good, because it wasn't looking too good for her a while ago. Then we get the leader or the North Korean concentration camp. I really wish I could remember this guy's name, but for some reason it's escaping me, and I cannot remember, man. I can't remember. But we see him speaking to Berlin, and Berlin says that you did all these horrible things. You used to treat us like dirt. You tortured us. You killed us. This guy claims he never done any of that. He says that he was just following out his duties, his commands. Berlin says that he's lying. Then he responds by saying, even if I did that, didn't I pay the price? And then this guy somehow accuses Berlin of raping his stepdaughter and then burning her alive. And then everyone is like, at this moment, they all like turn on Berlin. Even though it's lies, even the professor's team, like, they don't know whether to believe this or not, but they are questioning whether it is true. But then we see Berlin's team. They manage to get out of the mansion with the kid, and they get confronted by Woo Jin. Tokyo says, "You're not going to shoot us here when there's a kid." Tokyo tells the kid to go with Woo Jin. She says that she's a police officer and that she will keep the kid safe. So Woo Jin takes the kid, and of course she can't really shoot Tokyo or Berlin's crew, because, well, how can she really when when there's a kid there? And then we get to so while rescuing the kid, they were like broadcasting it the entire time, and then the woman from Berlin's crew, I believe her name is Seoul, she starts live streaming to like all the channels and any sort of communications. She's like live. I don't know how they done it. Obviously, Real's a hacker. Maybe they done it on the outside, but they like managed to hack into everything. So like she's like live streaming to the like entire country, I guess, at this stage, and she confirms that the North Korean, the former North Korean concentration camp leader, that he's talking bullshit essentially, and that he, in fact, she is his daughter-in-law, but he was the one that in fact raped her every day, and that he brought her to the concentration camp to keep an eye on her. She says she backs up Berlin's claim that he was horrible and he tortured everyone in the camp, and she says that only one person was able to stand up to him, and that person was Berlin, and he like had a revolution, and he like made all the prisoners like rise up and revolt, and it was due to Berlin that everyone found the courage to manage to like fight against them and escape. And then she claims that she fell in love with Berlin. So this backs up Berlin's claim. The assemblyman tries to like get this shut down. He's like, shut this off. He obviously doesn't want this getting broadcasted out, but it's too late. Seoul has pretty much confirmed everything here. So now it makes Berlin look like he is the good guy. The professor sees this, and the professor is all chuffed. We then get a wee moment with Anne and Nairobi. Nairobi says that no harm's going to come to Anne anymore, but Anne asks her, "Didn't you try and kill me?" And Nairobi doesn't lie to her. She says, "Yeah, I did, but it was for my son. I kind of had to." Then we get Denver and his new girlfriend. Well, I guess they've kind of been close since the start of this, but he's checking on her wound, and then they kind of start making it, and I'm assuming they have sex. So yeah, that's what happens there. And then we see a flashback with the Berlin and the professor again talking about father's plan and how they're going to complete this heist, and then Tokyo is like, "So you and the professor are brothers." Rio is like, "So you and the professor are brothers to Berlin." He can't seem to believe that these two are brothers. He asks why didn't he tell anybody, and Berlin says it was because the professor thought it was a good idea not to share that information because they already had a traitor, and this proves that if they had revealed that information that they were brothers, then the professor's identity would have been revealed at that moment where Nairobi turned on them. So that basically confirms why they never said that they were brothers. We then get Tokyo and the professor on the outside. They're looking at the mint from like afar, and they begin planning how they're going to get her back inside with the new plan, because the professor has concluded that they're going to bring up the date of the mint, the summit. So that means they need to escape on the same day as the summit. So the professor tells Tokyo that she needs to get back in there, and she needs to give the crew the plan that they actually intend to escape a few days earlier than originally scheduled for. So then we cut back to inside the mint. Berlin says to Rio he realizes that he likes Tokyo and stuff like this. Berlin says that he knew Rio was not the traitor. He says what Rio willing to sacrifice his life for Tokyo. Berlin says he realized that was real, that wasn't fake. And then Berlin tells him that we need to go and prepare for the return of Tokyo, which of course takes Rio off by surprise. He's like, "What do you mean? What do you mean that you're gonna, Tokyo's coming back?" And then we end the episode with Berlin going. He talks to all the hostages, and he tells them that if they want to leave, then they can leave tomorrow. He will let them walk out. No harm will be done to them, and they can be free. However, if they decide to stay, if they decide to help them, he will pay everyone 3 billion yuan. And that is it, guys. That's the end of the episode. So action-packed, a lot happened. I really like the start of it. when we had the flashbacks with the professor in Berlin. We also had the flashback to show what happened inside the Mint when Berlin was about to throw Tokyo outside. We had Tokyo being interrogated. We had the raid of the mansion to get back Nairobi's son. We had a really cool confrontation between Berlin and the former North Korean dictator, concentration camp leader. And we had lots of other cool stuff in there as well. So in my opinion, a really good episode. I'm going to rate it an 8 out of 10. I enjoyed it, and I think part 2 has been a lot better than part 1. It's not that part 1 wasn't good. I like part 1. I liked episodes 1 through to 6. But I feel like more's happened in part 2. I feel like they've sped up the series. I feel like the end game is getting closer. And I feel like, I know we're only 3 episodes in here to part 2, but I kind of feel like it's just a lot faster and more is happening. And that's not that I like slow-paced stuff, but I just feel like a lot of episode 1 to 6, some of it was kind of filler. I don't know. I think they could have filled episodes 1 through to 6 without 6 episodes. I think they could have done it in 4. But, I mean, who knows, right? I am enjoying part 2 a little bit more. But part 1 was good. I like part 1, but I would say every episode so far in part 2 has been strong. I believe I've rated every episode an 8 out of 10 so far. I might have actually gave the last episode a 9. I cannot remember, guys. You let me know down below in the comments. But yeah, I'm giving this an 8 out of 10. I really liked it. And I thought the scene where they rescued Nairobi's kid, the cinematics and the directions and the angles and everything they used in that, man, it was really, really good. So it was the first time that we really got to see any sort of fight scenes and shootout scenes, and it was good. I enjoyed it. Let me know what you think down below. I will catch you in the next one, guys. Episode 10 review coming either later today or tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Of course, there's lots of theory vids as well. There's lots of questions we have as we come to the conclusion of Season 1 Part 2. And the big answer, the big question, I think, is, are we getting a Season 2? I hope so. We'll discuss that once we finish the reviews, guys. But until next time, been Fog Entertainment. Thanks for watching, and peace.